All right, good evening, everyone. I will go ahead and call to order the 1623rd regular meeting of the Thornton City Council. And before we begin, just like to remind everyone in the audience to please turn off or silence all electronic devices. The audience seating area is provided for observing council meetings from a seated position only. Audience members wishing to stand must stand in the aisle along the rear wall opposite the council dais. Also, if there's anyone in the audience who needs assistance in listening to or participating in the meeting and is not indicated so in the sign-up sheet, you can raise your hand and a staff member will assist you. Item 2 is the Pledge of Allegiance. Would you please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Item 3 is a moment of silence. Please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. Item 4 is a land acknowledgement. Mayor Pro Tem Ayala, would you please read the land acknowledgement this evening?
Yes, thank you. The City of Thornton respectfully acknowledges the land on which we stand is the traditional territory of the Apache, Arapaho, Cheyenne, Comanche, Kiowa, Lakota, Navajo, Pueblo, Shoshone, and Southern Ute tribes and nations who were the original stewards of the land. We honor the history, culture, and contributions, both past and present, of these indigenous nations and tribes. We pay respect to their ancestors, elders, and present-day community members, and extend our gratitude to the indigenous peoples for their ongoing care and stewardship of the land, water, and resources. We also recognize the lasting impact of colonialism, forced removals, and continued injustices that have affected indigenous communities throughout the history and into the present. We also acknowledge the labor of enslaved Africans and their descendants who worked the stolen land for the colonists and who continue to disproportionately face economic oppression, racism, violence, and exploitation. May this acknowledgement serve as a reminder of our responsibility to be mindful and respectful of the land, its history, and the indigenous communities who call Colorado home, and to use it to guide our policies and decision-making for the people of Thornton.
Thank you. Item 5 is a roll call of the council. Clerk, would you please call the roll of council?
Mayor Coleman.
Here.
Councilmember Cunto.
Here.
Councilmember Algie.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Ayala.
Here.
Councilmember Byrd.
Here.
Councilmember Martinez.
Here.
Councilmember Morris.
Here.
Councilmember Russell.
Here.
Councilmember Salazar.
Here.
Quorum is present, Your Honor.
Thank you. Item 6 is approval of the agenda. Are there any staff changes to the agenda this evening?
Mayor, thank you. There are no changes.
Council, are there any changes to the agenda? All right, hearing none, is there a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So moved.
Thank you. Approval of the agenda as presented has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, clerk, please poll the council.
Council, please cast your votes.
Here. Yes.
Motion passed unanimously, Your Honor.
Thank you. Item 7 is presentations. Item 7A is a resolution conveying the City Council's gratitude and appreciation to Florence Gonzalez on her retirement from the city. Councilmember Morris, would you please introduce this item and read it in its entirety?
A resolution conveying the City Council's gratitude and appreciation to Florence Gonzalez on her retirement from the city. Whereas Florence Gonzalez has served the city as a regular full-time employee for 27 years in a professional and loyal manner. And whereas Florence began employment on April 20th, 1998 as an accounting specialist 2, on September 10th, 2001, she began a new career path in information technology as an administrative specialist and advanced to her current position of business systems analyst. And whereas Florence received multiple distinguished service awards over the many years of service to include, but not limited to, the city's IT Enterprise Upgrade Initiative, IP Telephony Implementation Team, and Data Center Disaster Recovery Team. And whereas Florence received an individual Distinguished Service Award in 2013 for her work in supporting the organization in IT during a staffing shortage. And whereas Florence received a Distinguished Service Award in 2018 for her exemplary work and dedication on the CityView team. And whereas Florence received a Distinguished Service Award in 2020 for her performance above and beyond her normal duties during the COVID-19 pandemic. And whereas Florence has approached her job in a professional, skillful, and dedicated manner and with a strong commitment to serve the community. And whereas City Council wishes to recognize Florence for the contributions she has made over the years of service to the city. Now, therefore, be resolved by the City Council of the City of Thornton, Colorado, as follows: that the City Council hereby recognizes the commitment, dedication, and loyalty of Florence Gonzalez and conveys its earnest appreciation and thanks for the many contributions she has made during her 27 years as an employee of the city. Passed and adopted at a regular meeting of the City Council of the City of Thornton, Colorado on January 13th, 2026.
And move for its approval.
And I move for its approval.
Second.
Thank you. Motion has been made and seconded to approve the resolution. Is there any discussion? Councilmember Morris, you made the motion, so you have the option to go first.
In the brief amount of time I've been on City Council, I have seen, or at least been briefly exposed to how much happens behind the scenes. And I can't even fully grasp yet what happens behind the scenes across the city. But it is just amazing to have people like Florence who have dedicated their career to serving the people of Thornton. So I just want to say thank you so much. I know we didn't get a chance to work together, but I wish you the best on your retirement. And I hope you have some really fun and amazing plans next. Thank you.
Any additional discussion? I'm going to save mine for here in just a moment. Would you please poll the council?
Council, please cast your votes. Motion passed unanimously, Your Honor.
Thank you. And at this time, I would ask Florence and her family, as well as Chris Mollison, Scott Tekovec, and Ken Kopicki to join me in front of the dais. Oh, yes, that one's working. So, Florence, 27 years ago, you began your career with the City of Thornton, and little did you know that you would dedicate an entire career to public service. Congratulations. And I think, as Councilmember Morris said, nobody really understands what happens behind the scenes, but it is the most important thing for the city because nobody knows what happens behind the scenes, which means you're doing a great job. We are very much going to miss you. We very much appreciate everything that you've done for the city in your years of service, and thank you so much for dedicating so much time. Would you or the gentleman like to say anything?
Florence and I have worked together for a long time, and I won't go through all the stuff that has been mentioned about her already, but she is one of those people that not only is technically skilled, but that everybody loves working with, and that sounds a lot easier than it is. Florence and I chatted a couple weeks ago, and she told me what I thought was a pretty cool story, and I asked her if she was going to tell that story when she was here, and she said she wasn't, so I'm going to tell it. When she was in high school, one of her teachers, I think it was a math teacher, asked all of the students in the class to write a letter to themselves that he would then send to them 10 years later, and they would get to open that letter. And they all did, and she wrote a letter to herself, and 10 years later went to the mailbox, and there her letter was. And she had forgotten she had written it, and I would imagine most of the people in the class had done the same. But she opened it, and there was the letter, and she started reading it, and oh yeah, I did say some of the stuff. And at the end of the letter, it said, what did I want to be when I grow up? I want to work with computers. And that's ultimately what she ended up doing. And I don't think that many people could probably say that about themselves when they're talking about that career. And she ended up turning that into a pretty cool experience, not only for herself, but here at the city. And we are very lucky that she was able to predict what she ultimately wanted to do. So Florence, best of luck to your on your retirement and with your family. And obviously we and I are going to miss you very much.
Florence, we got the privilege of working together for 18 of those 27 years. I really had a unique opportunity to watch you grow and achieve new and exciting roles as you advanced your career. And one of the traits that I want to make sure everybody knows about is that you have a ability to help everyone around you. You know, every peer, everybody you pass by gets help from you. And I really want to make sure that that's included in this award tonight, the recognition tonight, because that's who you are. And I appreciate that. And I want to thank you and congratulate you on your retirement. So congratulations.
Well, I would be remiss if I didn't say a few words about Florence. I've had the honor and privilege of working with her for 15 years. I started 15 years ago in IT. I came in as a, gung-ho computer engineer and had a ton of questions, had a ton of, needs and wanted to figure out things as quickly as I could. And absolutely everybody that I talked to said, just talk to Florence. Just talk to Florence, she'll figure it out. And it really is a testament to your bravery and your ability to just, take challenges on and figure things out. A lot of people see technology as kind of magic. It just happens, like we've mentioned before, but it doesn't happen without the dedication and the hours and nights and weekends that you spend working on things. So as everybody mentioned, good job, and we appreciate you and wish you the best of luck.
I just want to say that I have so enjoyed being a part of the IT team and being a steward for the city of Thornton. I'm looking forward to retirement, but I'm also walking away from a job that I so enjoyed. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's give her a round of applause. I'm going to let you leave there. We'll take a picture first. All right, Council, if you join us up here for a picture.
Up next. Yeah.
It is always amazing to me, and I guess it shouldn't be amazing anymore, of how incredibly dedicated the City of Thornton staff is to the city and to our residents. And it makes me extremely proud to be able to honor those employees as they retire and move on to their next stage in life after they've given so much to our community and so much value. Item 7B is a resolution commending John Algie for his service on the Thornton Active Adult Board. Mayor Pro Tem Ayala, would you please introduce this item and read it in its entirety?
Yes, thank you. I'd like to put forward a resolution commending John Algie for his service on the Thornton Active Adult Board, whereas John Algie served as a member of the Thornton Active Adult Board from October 8th to 2024 through November 5th, 2025, and whereas Mr. Algie played a lead role in many important decisions on the Active Adult Board by advocating for the needs and matters impacting individuals 55 years of age and older, and whereas Mr. Algie's leadership and service to the Thornton Active Adult Board has been a valuable contribution to the city. Now, therefore, it be resolved by the City Council of the City of Thornton, Colorado as follows: that the City Council wishes to express to John Algie its gratitude, appreciation for his leadership role, time, involvement, knowledge, distinguished service to the Thornton Active Adult Board, and to the residents of Thornton. And I move for its approval.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. The resolution has been moved and seconded. Would you, Mayor Pro Tem, would you please provide additional comments as you made the motion?
Yes, thank you. John, I've mentioned this many times. Whatever he decides to do, he puts his full heart into it, his full commitment. He's always there unless, I don't even know. I think he would probably even show up sick if he had to, but he's always there, and he'll always be there for every special event or significant thing that's happening with that specific board. So I just, as always, John is just somebody in our community that can be counted on for his commitment and dependability. And I just want to thank him for his service on the Active Adult Board, just as he did with Tashko. And now I know he'll do a splendid job working on City Council. Thank you.
Any additional discussion? Again, I'm going to save my comments for later. Would you please poll the council?
Council, please cast your votes. Motion passed unanimously, Your Honor.
Thank you. And at this time, I would ask Mr. Algie to join me in front of the dais. I'm going to present this to you now. It's interesting. I don't think a lot of people know that many city council members serve on boards or commissions before they join the city council, but they have to step down once they get elected in order to not influence those organizations, because they are our voice and our ears and our eyes outside of the city council chambers. And I've known John, I think, since you moved to Thornton, because John makes sure that everybody knows John, because he's engaged in everything from the very beginning. And I think your work across several of our boards and commissions actually led you to the position that you're in now in the city council. So very much appreciate your engagement and looking forward to continue working with you. And thank you so much for being willing to serve your community.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Would you like to say a few words?
I'll try and take it a couple because we do have a little bit of an agenda this evening. So, Madam Mayor, thank you for the very kind words. Madam Mayor Pro Tem, thank you for your kind words and for both of your friendship. It means a great deal to me, along with all my colleagues here on City Council. I want to thank Jesse Ramito and the staff at the Active Adult Center. You're amazing. I have to keep it family friendly. You guys are amazing. Can't say enough about you. Chris Steinke, doing a great job as always on Parks. I love you, brother. Also want to shout out to the 55 Plus organization. Usually Mary Welsh is here. She's not this evening. But they are really the backbone of the Active Adult Center. They run the bingo. They help serve lunch. The Quilts of Valor ceremony, which is coming up at the end of the month. Both the Active Adult Center staff and the 55 Plus organization are amazing. And Thornton is a better place because of those folks. And my deepest thanks to them and to all of our city staff. You're amazing. And I think I'm going to stop here. So thank you again.
Give them a round of applause.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Doc. Fun about being the last seat. Like the gatekeeper.
All right, item 8 is audience participation. This is a time for members of the community to speak on any item that is not on the agenda as a public hearing or going to be on a public hearing in the future. Pursuant to City Council's Rules of Order and Procedure, speaking time is limited to 3 minutes per person with a 1-hour limit on this segment of the agenda. In-person speakers will be heard first, followed by remote speakers registered before the end of the in-person comment segment. Residents of the city, as indicated on the sign-up sheet, will be given preference in the order heard in each segment. The podium located on the dais of the council chambers must be used to offer public comment during the audience participation or public hearing sections of the meeting agenda. In the event of physical inability or preference, the public may offer comment by microphone while seated in the audience sitting area, but at no time shall council comment be made while walking around the chambers. Ms. Long, is there anyone who signed up to speak under audience participation?
Yes, Your Honor, we have 5 individuals in person and 1 online.
Thank you. So in just a moment, again, each speaker will be given up to 3 minutes to speak, and this segment of the agenda is limited to 1 hour. Please make sure you watch the light on the podium. When it turns yellow and you hear a single beep, you'll need to wrap up your comments. When it turns red and you hear multiple beeps, your time is up, and I'll have to interrupt you as your 3 minutes are over. When you are called, those in person, please come to the podium, and those who indicated on the webinar registration that you wish to speak will be allowed to unmute and speak when the clerk calls your name. Ms. Long, who's the first person signed up to speak?
Stephen Matthias, 2076 East 102nd Avenue.
Good evening, Council. I want to remind everyone that our community town hall on flock cameras is tomorrow, Wednesday, January 14th, from 6 to 8 p.m. at the Thornton Community Center. You can attend in person or by live stream. For the live stream link or the YouTube recording afterward, email thorntonforall@gmail.com. And to protect community privacy, we will not allow recording of audience members who participate. Spanish interpretation will be available in person only. Quiero recordarles que nuestra asamblea comunitaria sobre las cámaras de FLAC es mañana, miércoles 14 de enero, de 6 a 8 de la tarde en el Thornton Community Center. Se puede asistir en persona o por transmisión en vivo. Para obtener el enlace de la transmisión en vivo o la grabación en YouTube después del evento, escriban a thorntonforall@gmail.com. Y para proteger la privacidad de la comunidad, no se permitirá grabar a los asistentes que participen. Habrá interpretación en español solo en persona. The purpose of the town hall is simple: to make sure that residents' questions get answered, to address misinformation publicly, and to give people an opportunity to share how they feel about the trade-offs between public safety, public policy, and privacy. We know that many of you have heard constituents raise questions about what the system does in practice and how the city defines its safeguards. We chose a town hall format because it allows real-time clarification and public fact-checking between perspectives in a way that's hard to achieve in a standard council hearing. That is why we invited the Thornton Police Department to participate. They declined. We then asked for a short written statement we could share in their own words, and we have not yet received a reply. When the department is not at the table, residents are left with only a few public statements to understand how these cameras are used, so wording and definitions matter. For example, in the North Glen Thornton Sentinel, the department said the cameras are not used for surveillance of residents. I believe that it would be cleaner and more accurate to say what they mean is that the department does not use these cameras for active surveillance, meaning real-time monitoring of residents, but that the system does create a record of when and where a vehicle was that can later be used to trace a vehicle's movements during an investigation. With more than 80,000 flock cameras nationwide, it's not an isolated picture. Each camera you pass takes a picture, and when you can view those pictures together over time, it becomes something different, a film. Finally, we'd like to reiterate our invitation to the city and to the police department to host another town hall at a later date when the department and the city are available. Thank you.
Thank you. Would you please call the next person?
Tom Mullender, 941 Elm Place.
I'll be quick. I had a call from my wife, and she was freaking out to beat heck. What was going on is there was a construction company on, she thought it was our property, digging up rock. Actually, what it was cement. Well, my easement is all cement. They never notified us that they were going to be doing this. The construction company was CEI. And I don't know if, as a thing, you're supposed to notify people when you're working on their sidewalks. so that so it doesn't happen like what happened to my wife. She literally freaked out on me over the phone. I wasn't even at home. And I told her I'll take care of it when I got home. When I got home, I saw what they were doing, and I understood what they were doing. They were replacing the corners of the sidewalks. I'm glad they did it. They needed it. But it would have helped if they would have notified us. And the other thing I have is on the corner of Corona and Eppinger. There has been a roadwork sign there for at least 4 months, 3 months, 4 months. When they're working on Hoffman, they replaced all that stuff down there. They left this road sign there, and I don't know why. All the other ones are gone. It blocks visibility. And it's just one of those things. That's pretty much all it. But thank you guys. I appreciate what you're doing. Yeah, and that's it for tonight.
Thank you. Can we please get a staff member to talk with Mr. Mullender? Thank you. Would you please call the next person?
Tom Lampo, no address provided.
All right, welcome to 2026. I'm Tom Lampo, and I'm looking forward to the years. I hope you are as well. As we open 2026, you continue to read your hateful statement, and every time I hear it, I know that most of my elected members really could care less about me. They hate me. This needs to change, and you need to remove it from Thornton. Through the 1700s, we had explorers, merchants, settlers from nations that had sovereignty. Spain was a nation in 1469, Portugal 1100s, England 10th century, Scotland around 843, Wales mid 1500s, France in the late 5th century, Netherlands in the late 1500s, Sweden 1523. Every person from these nations that traveled here to America was loyal to a land I mentioned, and some of these individuals owned slaves here on this land. In 1776, America became a sovereign nation, and some of our people owned slaves. You that support this statement are an odd group. I consider you all my friends, but you speak with a forked tongue. You're untruthful, deceitful. The American Indian will claim sovereignty, and the reason they can hate freedmen, yet all people that came to this land had sovereignty, and in 1776, America had sovereignty. Then why can't Americans do as the American Indians? And I only ask this question, and I do not believe in it, exclude minorities from full freedoms. Why do you that read this statement choose race as a determining factor to guide your decisions? White nationalists, who I do not support, believe in purity, and you will not support them. American Indians believe in purity, and you support them. In your statement of hate, you clearly state you want the American Indian to guide our policies and decision-making for the people of Thornton. So clarify for me, is purity the way we should go, or reject purity and welcome all? You're untruthful in your speech and choose to make decisions based solely on race. So if you use race to make any of your decisions, what are you? The Constitution, which you swore an oath to, forbids your type of decision making. We're a constitutional republic. When our governments trample every right of ours, it's the Constitution that will back the people up. You choose to ignore the Constitution and your oath and denigrate one race of people. This statement is racist. This statement is white hate. Are you really fit to be in the positions you hold? Enjoy the rest of your night, because you live in America and can enjoy every freedom. Thank you.
Thank you. Would you please call the next person?
Catherine Whitehead, 2953 East 103rd Lane.
Hello, I'm Katrina Whitehead. I'm here because I found out that Aurora just passed a resolution to address the unlawful and overreach of federal immigration agents and to address sorry, I'm nervous, to keep the protections of due process. And I feel like that might be something that Thornton should consider as well. just everything that's been happening in the country has very much scared me. And I'm a licensed professional counselor, and I work with people with severe trauma, and they are also very scared. And I think just knowing that our city is there to protect us will definitely help that fear, because I am part of a huge group on Facebook for therapists, and we're having a really hard time with everything that's going on. We are witnessing tons of trauma all the time. Our clients are witnessing tons of trauma all the time, and I don't want my kids to see it. I don't want to go into a Target and see some family being stripped apart from each other. I don't want to see that. I care about people. I have clients who are Hispanic, and I don't want them to go through that. So I really hope that this could be something to consider, because it's been very scary. And I know that I'm white and I have that privilege, but I don't want to, I'm not the type of person to sit back and just watch a kid being taken away. It's terrifying. And I just think that having the support of all of you in this town would be amazing and reassuring for a lot of the people that I work with. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Would you please call the next person?
Chris Cook, 3901 East 135th Drive.
Hi, my name is Chris Cook, and I'm a Thornton resident living in Ward 4. Thank you so much for the opportunity to allow me to speak tonight. After last week's killing of Colorado Springs native Renee Good by ICE in Minnesota and the shooting of 2 protesters by Border Patrol agents in Oregon, it has become apparent that our community needs more protections against these immigration officials. The Aurora City Council was quick to take action by recently passing a resolution opposing unlawful and overreaching federal immigration enforcement actions and affirming constitutional due process protections. I also read on Fox 31 Denver that the Denver City Council recently heard a presentation from 2 of their council members on a potential resolution that would ban face coverings on law enforcement officers who are interrogating, detailing, arresting, or otherwise restraining a person in Denver City and county limits. We, the citizens of Thornton, need a similar resolution to help protect us from these unlawful and dangerous actions. All throughout the country, people, even American citizens, are being picked up off the street because of what they look or sound like, and not because of an actual warrant, proof, or any other legal justification. These people are being victimized by abuses of power and are being denied their due process by masked federal agents. Currently, during the large-scale immigration enforcement in Minnesota, whole communities are living in fear as violent encounters between ICE and civilians are increasing. Innocent people, including a 17-year-old employee at Target who is pinned to the ground and handcuffed, are being abducted from their workplaces. Extra protections in the form of local police escorts and extra security guards are now being placed in public schools in fear of ICE raids on school property within Minnesota. Also, just today, a New York City Council employee who's in the country legally was abducted and jailed by ICE. These forces are out of control, and today's Minnesota will be tomorrow's Colorado. During these trying times, we need our community leaders to be forward-thinking and to pass as many protections as possible to safeguard us from these immigration blitzkriegs. Thank you all so much.
Thank you. Would you please call the next person?
Eric Montoya, no address provided.
Is he online?
Looks like he is online. He should be able to unmute himself.
Can you hear me?
We can now.
Okay, thank you, Council. I just want to say I support the last 2 speakers, and I hope this council will do what we can at the local level to protect our minority community and people from living in fear. And it's a public safety issue that should be addressed at the local level. Well, I just want to say, on a different note, Happy New Year and congratulations to the newly elected council members. At this moment, I want to talk directly to John Algie. John, during the campaign, you said you were going to be accountable, accessible, and available. So I'm here to put those words into action. Let's start with accountable. I'm disappointed with your behavior on the campaign trail. You were dishonest in 2 robocalls where you said that you were the only Democrat running in this race when you knew that was not true. When confronted by the chair of the county party about it, you doubled down on the dishonesty by denying that you did that, even though I had your voicemail saved on my phone. I also received several mailers that said you were a Democrat. Let me remind you that City Council is nonpartisan, so please keep it that way. Now let's talk about accessibility. I have some real concerns about the enthusiasm in which you took endorsements and money from organizations outside of Thornton. Let me assure you that these organizations did not give you money out of the goodness of their hearts. They expect you to vote in their favor on issues that come before council. John, I have no doubt that you care about the community, as was represented earlier when your recognition of your service. But because I've seen you do the work and I've seen you show up. But I just want to warn you that sometimes you will need to make difficult decisions that might go against a special interest group or a political party's desires. But now you are at the negotiating table representing the community. Please don't sell your soul to the outside entities and always do what is right for the community, even if it means you lose that organization's support. Lastly, let's talk about availability. We were good friends before we both decided to run for this seat, but once we did, then you blocked me on social media. You are now an elected official, so it's important not to violate people's First Amendment rights, and I hope you will unblock me and others you might disagree with. I truly wish you the best because our community's future is at stake, and I hope that you will govern with more integrity and honesty than you did during your campaign. Thank you.
Thank you. I think that was the last person signed up to speak.
Yes, Your Honor.
Is there anyone in the audience that wanted to speak that didn't know you needed to sign up? If so, you can come to the podium now. All right, we will move on to item 9, which is council comments and communication. Let's start with Ward 1 tonight. Councilmember Martinez.
All right, well, it certainly has been a while since we've met. Happy New Year to everybody here, and thank you to all who came in and spoke and addressed the council. We certainly value your comments and your opinion. And before I get into that, I just want to first start off by giving a shout out recognition to one of our brave firefighters who at the City of Thornton, Battalion Chief Jake Hebert. Sorry if I got your name wrong, but last week as it was cold, I met a very interesting person who's been living on the streets for a long time, who's always hanging out at the Thornton Community Center. I see him every Thursday night when I take my daughter to Taekwondo class, and I've gotten to know him recently. Since it was cold out, I decided to talk to this individual, let him know about some of our programs we have in the City of Thornton to help keep people safe in extreme weather conditions. I let him know about the emergency weather activation and the shelter or the hotel vouchers that we offer through the various programs. He said he was interested, and I immediately called our city manager, who contacted our fire chief, and I should give a shout out to all involved because the response was professional, it was fast, and I could tell that everybody was acting with the best intentions and trying to help this individual get off the streets during this cold weather. And Jake in particular came right away from the fire station number 1 and was very accommodating and reassuring to this individual. And I'm just very impressed with his degree of professionalism and empathy and compassion he has. I know he's seen a lot of people in the same situation. I'm sure he sees it on a daily basis. And I just wanted to commend his work and seeing it firsthand. And I know that this individual will be out there. He's a member of our community. And if you ever get to meet him, I think you'll appreciate his grit and his history. He's had a long history in this community as well. So, but thank you to our staff and thank you for that quick response. It just means a lot seeing it actually happen, play out before you, and the programs that we have just reiterates how valuable they are and that we need to do whatever we can as council members and senior leadership to preserve those programs and make sure that we do provide those opportunities for people who are really struggling out, living on the streets and need that emergency help when the time comes. So thank you, Jake. Thank you, Tansy. And thank you, Chief Kelly. So I wanted to get that out of the way. That's been a while, so I'm not going to go through everything that's happened since we've last met. But I do also want to highlight another incredible event that I was able to participate in last Friday, hosted by the Municipal Leadership Academy. I was able to participate in an urban plan exercise hosted by the Urban Land Institute. I was so impressed with that program that I want to reach out to our city manager and the rest of the council to see if we can get a similar kind of education program and bring it directly to our residents. I think it would go hand in hand as we have future discussions about the Thornton Shopping Center and what it actually means to build and bring a big project to our city. It was a great exercise, and it really puts participants through all the tough decisions that planners, developers, and elected officials have to negotiate during that process. So expect to follow up from me on that one as well. I should also say that I want to give a shout out to the group that's organizing the town hall tomorrow. Regardless of where you currently feel and how you land on the Flock and the ALPR systems, I think you can commend this group of residents for organizing and getting together, putting on a town hall on a subject that they feel passionately about. They've led the way, and I feel honored to have been included in that process and empower them through their journey. So I'm looking forward to it tomorrow. As it was stated, it's at the Thornton Community Center tomorrow at 6 o'clock. And if you can't make it, it will be live streamed. So thanks to all who put that on and help make that a possibility. This has been a tough week. I've also mourned the loss of Renee Good and seeing the violence happen out live on social media and in the news has been a really demoralizing and depressing experience. It really does. The fear in our community, not just in Minnesota, but throughout the country, is palpable. I experience it daily when I talk to residents, when I talk to my family, and I think that the way that the federal immigration is unfolding is, without a doubt, causing chaos in our communities. And I think that even regardless of where you stand on the immigration issue, which I'll be clear, I think is being handled extremely poorly and unprofessionally. But regardless of how you personally feel, I think it's pretty universal to recognize that the outcomes have caused chaos in a community. And we're seeing it unfold on camera. I think it's important to recognize that, and I certainly would consider speaking out against it. But I think before we get to that point, it's important for the council and the city staff to look introspectively and see how the city of Thornton can prepare for such a dramatic external shock to our equilibrium as a city. The immigration enforcement could ramp up tomorrow. It could ramp up next week. We don't really know. But the impact it will have on our city, regardless of whether you feel it's justified or not, will be real. And so I'm glad to say that the council has agreed just before this meeting in our update session to get to work on coming up with a plan as to how we're going to respond as a city, how we're going to communicate, and what kind of actions we'll take as a city in response to this shock to ensure that we're continuing to provide the safety and the services that you come to expect the city to provide to this day. So I know it's a troubling time, and that, like I said, the fear is out there, and I'm experiencing it just as much as you are. But we are taking action when it comes to understanding how we can respond and how we can move to protect our residents and to protect our businesses, and to make sure that if and when this happens, that the city has a response that's been discussed and we're prepared for it. So I'm not sure what that's going to look like, but I really trust this council to bring its diverse backgrounds and ideas together and come up with a good strategy in partnership with our staff. So I just wanted to address those concerns because I know you're not alone, and I know the community is reeling from this. So you can expect the city to take some leadership on that. So thank you for coming in. That's all.
Councilmember Salazar.
Good evening. First of all, I'd like to say Happy New Year to everyone. And I'm truly grateful to all the residents who stepped up to the microphone today. Your voices are what makes the future of our city. I am pleased to report that the lights are now on in the Niver Creek open space thanks to the partnership and support of Representative Phillips. I also had a wonderful time celebrating the season at the Active Adult Center's Christmas lunch with our seniors. And finally, I want to thank Deputy Chief Reeves for buying me breakfast yesterday. It was a great opportunity to sit down and have a productive conversation about our shared commitment to community safety. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Ayala.
Thank you. I just want to wish everybody a happy new year as well. And first of all, I just wanted to address the couple up here who came and spoke about the issues around immigration in our country right now. It is really frustrating to see that stuff on television and just see the injustices that are going on with humans in our country right now. Immigration has been a difficult topic to legislate around for quite a few, I guess I could say decades at this point, and we've come close a few times, and unfortunately our Congress and the national level hasn't been able to get it together enough to have comprehensive immigration reform, which is something that I really worked on as a labor organizer with SCIU back quite a few years ago, working with the Justice for Janitors campaign and working with folks primarily in the airport and in our Denver buildings who are immigrants and working in our country and deserve to have some dignity and respect and have a path to citizenship. And it is unfortunate that we've come to this place in our country. I guess one thing I will say is here in the city of Thornton, I feel that we have a different culture than some of the other cities. And our city council came to an agreement before this meeting that we would have a discussion not only about immigration, but also about other things that could occur, because we can address things, issue by issue and as things come up spicy in the news, or we could look at like holistic solutions. And that's really something that I'm interested in, is like addressing current situations, but also looking towards holistic solutions to keep our city safe, whether it be immigration policy and the injustices going on with that, or other types of emergencies that can occur in our city, and how we handle those as a council and as a city with our staff who lead the way and help us lead the way. So I'm pretty confident that we'll be able to have a good discussion around that. One thing I will say also in conjunction with that is that in the state of Colorado, just so you might feel a little bit of reassurance, is we do have legislation that is a little bit more protective than some of the other states around our municipal police and their ability to work with federal agents. So that isn't to the liking of our current president, but it is a fact. I'm just stating facts here without getting making this too politicized, and that makes me feel a little bit better about our current state. And I'm quite confident that our legislators that are going to be going into session starting tomorrow are going to work on making that a little stronger as well, and hopefully we can continue to protect our turf here in Colorado. But I do want to make sure that we address your concerns and that you all know that we are thinking about it. And, I could say we're going to sit here and do things the way other cities do, but we are Thornton, and I think that we have a good council here that wants to work together towards justice in our city for sure. On a second note, I just want to speak a little bit. I feel like I've taken a lot of time to speak about my buddy here, John Algie, and his commitment to the city of Thornton. And I just want to speak to it a little bit more, because one of my passion projects over the last, like 5 or 6 years, and I think, Mayor Coleman can probably remember this, is I was a bit of an activist around campaign finance reform, and I caused some shenanigans and did some activism. And so I know a thing or two about campaign finance and what that looks like and the commitments people make when they decide to run for office and accept money. And as you all may know, again, I've said this many times, campaigns aren't free and they're not cheap. And when folks decide to accept money, they can take that from organizations, they can take it from labor unions, they can take money from organizations that protect working families, or they can also take it from corporate interests. And one thing I will say in working with John Elgie is he did not take money from any type of corporate interest. John Elgie's money came from organizations that work for the protection of working families, whether that be labor unions or organizations that protect the environment. And so when it comes to being beholden, yeah, he is beholden. He's beholden to our environment, and he's going to be beholden to the working people of Thornton. So I would just wanted to take that opportunity to speak about campaign finance yet again, because there's a lot of different ways it can be misconstrued when folks want to say things about people taking money. But one thing I do know is that John took money from individuals who care about his campaign. He took money from labor unions who care about working people and creating policy for working people. And he took money from environmentalist groups that care about our environment, clean air, clean water, and the better use of land. And so that's all I have to say for tonight. Happy New Year, everybody, and thank you.
Councilmember Algie.
All right. Thank you, everybody, and Happy New Year to everyone, and hope everyone had an amazing holiday season. I want to address the couple that spoke tonight. Yes, we are having those discussions to protect our community, and I am fully in support of that. And also want to prayers to the family of Renee Good for what happened last week. It was completely inexcusable that it happened. So I thank you both for being here tonight. I think it's your first time being here on council tonight, so welcome. Sorry it's under these circumstances, but still, please be involved in your community and be engaged. It's really, really important. So thank you for being here. And we will be working to address that. I have a thing with the microphone. So during the holiday season, I visited my birth family in California during New Year's week, and it was a very therapeutic time for me, filled with joy and catching up. So I did forget to mention at our last council meeting that I also attended the Thornton Fire Department's wall breaking ceremony at the Ken Freiberg Fire Museum last month, along with Mayor Coleman and fellow council members Martinez and Salazar. I want to personally thank Tashco for your tireless and continuous efforts in this project, which coincides with our city's 70th anniversary celebrations this year. More recently, yesterday, I attended the Thornton Fire Department Awards ceremony at Station 4, honoring the lifeguards at Hunter's Glen Pool who performed water rescue last June. I was joined by Mayor Coleman and fellow council members Byrd, Russell, and Morris. My deepest gratitude to them and to all our brave firefighters for keeping us safe. So last Thursday, speaking of labor, I attended the Workers' Protection Act labor rally at the state capitol. Just to let you know, I am a retired mail handler. I did 30 years with MPMA2 Local 304, so I am an actual labor guy. I actually care about labor because I've lived it. There were multiple fellow elected officials and statewide candidates in attendance, including United States Senate candidate and State Senator Julie Gonzalez, who was one of the speakers at the rally, congressional candidate State Representative Manny Rootsnell here in CD8, and Tricia Calvarese in CD4. Secretary of State candidates Jefferson County Clerk and Recorder Amanda Gonzalez and State Senator Jesse Danielson. Senator Danielson was also one of the speakers at the rally, and Attorney General candidates David Seligman and current Secretary of State Jenna Griswold. As a retired union brother and a fellow elected official, I personally thank them for attending and supporting labor. I strongly encourage my fellow electeds to support this legislation this year. I plan on testifying at the Capitol in my own capacity as well. Last Saturday, I attended the public hearing held by CDOT concerning the I-270 corridor improvement project. The project will include bridge replacements, the reconstruction of the Vasquez Boulevard and York Street interchanges, and expansion to 2 regular lanes and HOV express toll lane. Construction is slated to begin in late 2026, early 2027, with scheduled completion in 2032. I expressed my concern that this project needs to be compatible to the proposed I-25 corridor project. CDOT officials assured me that would indeed be the case. This project will improve access between Thornton and DIA, plus the eastern end of the Denver metro area. Yesterday, I attended the opening celebration of the City of Aurora's annual Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Remembrance, which will culminate in annual Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Parade next Monday in Denver. Aurora Mayor Mike Kaufman read the proclamation, and also attending were newly elected Aurora council members Janina Horton from Ward 1 and Amy Wiles in Ward 2. Let's see. So tomorrow evening, I will be attending in a listening capacity the neighbor-led community meeting at the Thornton Community Center from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. about the flock cameras. I'm going to be there to listen to neighbors about what their concerns are, but I'll also be listening to Thornton PD and Thornton Fire when they present to us at our planning session on February 3rd. I want to get balanced comments from both sides on this. But still, with what's gone on in Mesa County last year, and what was spoke about tonight, that is a concern. So I do want to hear from neighbors as well as from our police and fire departments about flock. And in closing, I never blocked my opponent in my council race at all whatsoever. And the same endorsements that I earned, he also applied for. And they selected me because I actually care about the community. I care about labor. I care about the environment. I care about people. And I also did the work on the doors because I've been involved in this community since I moved here. So I'll leave it at that for right now. And that's all I have.
Councilmember Byrd.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, so I hope everybody had a great start to this year. We've already hit the ground running, having several discussions with council members around priorities and objectives that we want to start really get the ball rolling on, including what Councilmember Martinez has already brought up around looking into our contingency plans and stuff for in case anything happens in our city, how we can address those kind of situations instead of being on an ad hoc situation, but more on a grander scale. I don't want to take away too much from Councilmember Russell because I'm sure he's got a lot more to say. But I did attend the firefighter award presentation yesterday, along with Councilmember Algie, Morris, and Russell. And of course the mayor. And and I would really like to say it's an amazing thing to have residents in our community that jumped out and took that initiative like they did for these young members. They really show a sense of pride and urgency to a situation that a lot of people would kind of panic and not know what to do in. So that's an incredible situation. And speaking with the fire department and the members there, they said their actions is what ultimately came out to a much better outcome. I would also like to say, I'm really looking forward to this year. Not only is my first year on council and working alongside everybody up here, but this year marks a pivotal moment for the nation as the 250th anniversary of America, and also the birthday of Colorado as well as the 150th birthday for the state. So I'm really hoping that we can really send off this year with an amazing triumph to celebrate both of those accomplishments. Thank you.
Councilmember Acunto.
All right. Thank you, Mayor. I'm just going to take a moment to address the shooting of Renee Good. I wasn't planning on addressing it tonight, but since a few of the council members and there was some comments in the audience, I wanted to address those. So the fatal shooting of Renee Good by ICE agent in Minneapolis was a tragic incident. While the loss is heartbreaking and demands a thorough, impartial investigation, early accounts of this event indicate it was an avoidable one. Individual actions and decisions set events on a collision course that could have been de-escalated and prevented entirely. The dehumanization of law enforcement officers, including ICE agents who are carrying out their sworn duties under federal law, must stop. Blanket labels of evil or murderous not only ignore the dangers these officers face, as the agent involved having previously been dragged by a vehicle over 30 feet in a separate incident earlier that month, it erodes public safety and makes the jobs more perilous. It is particularly rich to hear armchair critiques of what an officer should or should not have done from individuals with no law enforcement experience who would likely not last a week on the streets facing split-second decisions, threats, and immense pressure of high-risk operations. These roles require mental fortitude, courage, and resilience that few possess, and second-guessing them without context disrespects the realities of the job. This extends to the rhetoric of public agitators and certain activist groups that encourage interference with federal operations or local operations on ongoing investigations through blocking access, building barricades, or pressuring witnesses, which places unnecessary risk on everyone involved. The need for calm and facts over inflammatory narratives and rhetoric is more important now than ever. Thank you.
Councilmember Russell?
Thank you. First, I'd like to welcome everyone back and say that I hope you enjoyed a restful and meaningful holiday break with your families. It's wonderful to see everybody so energized and ready for the year. I know my year has gotten off to a very busy start. Recently, I had an opportunity, I think you were there too, opportunity to attend an economic outlook and housing summit. It's an insightful look into the trends that are shaping our metro area and helps me and other electeds ensure that Thornton remains a place where families can thrive both economically and through accessible housing opportunities. Now I'll touch base on that recognition that Councilmember Byrd so kindly teed me up for. This is a recognition of heroism, and I spoke on this last summer when the event, or near when the event happened. But I wanted to take a moment to highlight a truly remarkable story that demonstrates the direct impact of our city's investment in youth and safety training. I made comments, as mentioned, last summer, but I'm pleased to share that we were finally able to coordinate some recognition for these young residents. We were made aware of a life-saving incident at the Hunters Glen pool where a 4-year-old child was pulled from the water without a pulse, and the situation was dire. 4 young residents named Emma Farina, Stella Madrid, Rowan Snyder, and Sophia Sandoval sprang into action utilizing their lifeguard training through the City of Thornton and Ellis & Associates, our training program partner. Emma, who began her journey as the city's youngest lifeguard at the age of 15, didn't just rely on her training. She had the presence of mind to retrieve her Thornton-issued Big Easy mask from her car when other equipment wasn't available. Because of her readiness and quality of the city's training program, spontaneous breathing was restored, and that child walked out of the hospital the very next day. I also want to recognize the Thornton Fire Department for their roles in fostering a culture of safety and preparedness that empowers residents to act when every second counts. The mortality rate for the child in this condition is 50 to 80%. Because they were prepared and trained well enough not to panic, a life was saved. This story is a powerful reminder of why we invest in our parks and rec programs and our teenage residents. To the Thornton Parks and Rec pool program supervisors, your dedication is valued by the life of this child. Thank you again, Emma, Stella, Rowan, and Sophia for your service to Thornton. It is much appreciated, and just gives me great hope for the future to sit there and see teenagers being called to action or to respond to an incident and be able to carry it out successfully. In a world right now where we have a lot of headlines and turmoil in our country, I think that's one thing that wherever you lie in terms of politics, we do a lot of what we do for the future of our country and those residents. And this is a shining light. This is a moment in where, with everything that is going on in our country, we can look to see that the future residents, the youth, are rising to the occasion. We don't know what the future will look like, but it does give me hope. So thank you.
Councilmember Morris.
Happy New Year, everyone. Great to see everyone back. I wanted to start out with a quick note of appreciation. Actually, received an email from a resident in Ward 4. They wanted to reach out to thank city staff for cleanup work that was completed along the Heritage Trail, specifically the section between York and Colorado, just north of 128th, was actually just one of the connector trails that they were specifically commenting on. Made a real difference for them who live nearby. They use that trail regularly. So really to the team that tackled that project, thank you for the work that you're doing and continue to do. Thank you for helping us take pride in our shared spaces. Definitely is not going unnoticed. Also, I had the opportunity recently to attend 2 events that I think will be helpful as we move through this year. The Starter Home Initiative, Councilmember Martinez was there as well. super enlightening, informative. To see this summit was hosted by the Common Sense Institute, and just looking for innovative ways to tackle the affordability problem in our city, in our state, and surrounding communities. Also was able to attend the economic summit that was hosted by the Denver Metro Association of Realtors, of which we're both members. This summit featured speakers covering commercial real estate activity across the Front Range, and of course, broader economic trends, both locally and nationally. Tons of good information shared at both events, insight that will help inform conversations with our staff, my fellow council members, and of course, residents as we navigate housing growth and the economic conditions this year. Also, I wanted to highlight a local youth organization, the Foothills Young Marines. I had the opportunity to meet with them this last Saturday on one of their training sessions. They're the local chapter of a larger national organization called Young Marines. Wanted to stop in, congratulate them on their recent achievements, and of course, to thank them for their service for what they're doing in their community. So a few of those recent achievements include, they helped load pallets of food onto airplanes recently that were then distributed across Colorado to help families in need, and that actually happened over the holidays. A big achievement for them was they were ranked number 1 in their division, which includes all units across Colorado, Montana, Wyoming, and Washington, and Idaho. And also one of their volunteers, one of their adult volunteers, actually named Volunteer of the Year for that same region. One story that really stood out to me, one of their students, or one of the young Marines, part of the organization, was visiting family out in LA over the holidays. And they actually received a commendation letter from the Los Angeles Fire Department just last week. So over the holidays, while this gentleman was visiting his family, he witnessed a cyclist who was struck by a motor vehicle. And instead of just calling 911, he actually ran to this injured cyclist, provided first aid, and stayed with this injured cyclist until the first responders arrived. And so it just says a lot about the kind of leadership and the readiness that this program is instilling. Something else that really stuck with me with the volunteers and just seeing the kids interact, one of the volunteers shared that they also focus on building confidence in these kids. Simple, important things like shaking hands and looking people in the eye when you're speaking to them. Things that we might take for granted or we might think are simple, but for these kids, they're hearing it for the first time in many cases. And so it's really neat to hear some of the things that have come out of that, which is a notable achievement was that these kids are getting jobs faster than their peers based on just some of these skills they're getting. They're learning habits and character traits now that will carry them far beyond this program and to whatever they choose to do next. So I want to say thank you to the Foothills Young Marines, to the volunteers and the students there. You're building leaders, you're serving others, you're taking action and not just talking. You're making our community and our state a better place. And I'm grateful that you call Thornton home. And I do want to point out, they gave me a pen when I stopped by, which I thought was pretty cool. It's their logo and has their values of leadership, teamwork, and discipline on here. And then also to the point of the United States 250th birthday this year, I had a local student, Raylan, made me a flag. And so I wanted to bring that, and so she knew that it was here in the council meeting. So thank you, Raylan. And that's it.
All right. Just a few updates from me as well. The city is currently recruiting for a couple of regular positions, including golf course foreman, and with the weather we've had, we definitely need this position filled, water resource analyst and administrator. Individuals can learn more information about these and all other openings on the city's website at gocot.net/jobs. And you can also follow us on Facebook and LinkedIn. The city is currently advertising for the Building Code Advisory Board for Wards 1 and 2, Election Commission for Ward 2, Firefighters Old Hire Pension Board, any ward, and Parks and Open Space Advisory Commission for Ward 1. And the deadline to apply for all of these is January 20th at 5 p.m. And we're also advertising for the Thornton Arts, Sciences, and Humanities Committee for Wards 1 or 2. And the deadline to file for this one is February 12th at 5 p.m. So this is our first meeting of 2026, and I had to remind myself of that earlier this evening because it feels like we're already halfway through the year and we're only January 13th. So 2026 is going to be an incredible year. There's going to be festivals like the Winterfest Festival that we just had not that long ago, and with the best weather that I think I've ever had in the entire time I've lived in Thornton for that festival. We'll have ribbon cuttings for new businesses or newly refurbished businesses. We'll have committee meetings, so many committee meetings. Recognitions and celebrations of our community, like the student lifeguards at Hunters Glen. And of course, we'll have policy discussion, some of which I'm sure will be heated as we implement changes that our community needs. And I'm really looking forward to our next year as a city and the work that this council will do together for our community. And I do want to acknowledge the concerns that have been raised about community safety. As a city council, our role is to focus on local public safety and to ensure that our first responders and community partners have the resources and the support they need to do their work professionally and effectively. Our police and fire departments are highly trained with a strong emphasis on responding thoughtfully and appropriately to safety concerns. And please know that your concerns are heard, and this council remains committed to ensuring that all of our residents feel safe in our community. With that, I'm going to move on to item 10, which is quasi-judicial public hearings, and there are no quasi-judicial public hearings this evening. Item 11 is legislative public hearings. There are no legislative public hearings this evening. Item 12 is staff reports. Item 12A is the Commercial Projects Quarterly Update, and I'll turn this over to Adam Kruger, our Economic Development Director, to present this item.
Yeah, good evening and Happy New Year, everyone. Certainly excited to be here tonight. Every quarter, Economic Development presents an update on some of the commercial activity that's happened in that last quarter. I'm going to utilize the first report of this year to talk about kind of 2025 as a whole, and there's a lot to get to, so I will dive right in. One of the things we hear from council and from residents quite consistently is that we want more places to eat, drink, and shop, and so wanted to highlight some of the successes that we had last year. These are businesses that have already opened in the city. And just a couple I want to point out, we have a number that are actually the first in Colorado, the first operation they have in Colorado, Chicken and Pickle, Malibu Jack's, Gordon Foods, this is one of 3 in the state. And then Toys R Us is the first Toys R Us brick and mortar in the state in a really long time. So really excited to have those. These guys are open and ready to go. I know some of you are familiar with these projects, but wanted to highlight some of them there. And then we do have some that are coming soon as well. I'm not going to run through all of these. I do want to just point out the Q1 or the Q3 that's next to that is the anticipated opening date for these businesses. I'm going to point out a couple that were backfilling some existing spaces that we had, which I thought were pretty cool. So Someplace Else Brewing has taken the space that Mother Tucker had. Somi, which is one of my new favorite words to say, is an ice cream place, and they are taking the former Tack and Supply place at the Grove. And then I'll jump down to Deja Foods, which is taking the former Castaway space here off 84th. Excited about those guys opening up. And then Real de Minas and Crab and Grab Cajun Seafood are each taking one of the former Old Chicago spaces that were available. So just wanted to highlight, not everything, but just some of the backfilled space that we have in addition to the new builds that you can see there. On the employment side, we had 10 new or expanded primary employers in 2025 with almost 1,080 new primary jobs, which is pretty cool. One thing I want to point out, one of the goals that we have had for the last couple of years is to try to attract more corporate office operations along with manufacturing and R&D, and we have been successful. About half of these projects have a corporate office presence in their new operation in Thornton. Kiosk they're not open yet, but they are moving their new headquarters here to the city. BHD Test and Measurement has a large office operation. Brown Note Productions is their headquarters. They have expanded. They were currently in the city and expanded. Todd Technologies headquarters in ICM, which is just getting moving in, also has a large corporate presence here. One other thing on the employment side that I wanted to touch base on is we like to present opportunities for council to come and do tours with these businesses. We have actually been in a couple of these already with council, but we will be looking for opportunities to get you into some of these folks as well as other existing primary employers, because it's a good opportunity for council to see some of the cool things that are happening in buildings in the city. So moving on to redevelopment. We certainly have a lot to talk about here. We are giving a detailed Thornton Shopping Center presentation at next week's council meeting, but I did want to touch on a couple of things with the Thornton Shopping Center. One, for council and residents. You will likely see dirt moving here in the first quarter. That is not a new development. That is removing the contaminated soils that are on that site. And so we expect that to run through the third quarter of this year. Other things I want to point out, we did have a very informative discussion with council in October where we talked about some visioning and some steps moving forward on the redevelopment of the center. We will be having a community update, and in addition to the meeting with council next week, a community update on the 18th of February at Community Connections Building, which will be getting the word out about that here real soon to update the residents on what's happening on the center and the direction moving forward. And then some other redevelopment items that we do have that I just want to touch on. We have been working with 3 different businesses on undergrounding electrical lines. We have been partnering with Excel to try to get those undergrounded. They have a program where we can pay for those. Makes a big difference. 1, saves some money for the business, and 2, aesthetically, it makes a big difference in those areas. And then we did transfer 5 acres of TDA land to Adams 12 for the new redevelopment of the Thornton High School, which we're really excited about. You can see they've got fencing up on our site already for some basic remediation work they've got to do on that site. Last thing I want to mention on the redevelopment side, I didn't put it on here, but probably should have, is we know that there is an emphasis for and a need to have the post office back. I know we have spoken quite a bit about the post office in the past. We are working with them and continue to work with them on trying to get an operation back up in the same area. We know that council and residents have a desire to have a post office back. We have toured them through buildings, and we continue to reach out to them to try to present other opportunities and work. They do have a site that they have been looking at in the city, but also present other opportunities that might be a fit for them. Unfortunately, they have not made a location decision yet, so I don't have any updates other than that we will continue to work with them, understanding the need to have a post office back in that area. The Alliance Business Assistance Center. On the small business side, pleased to report we have one of the most robust small business centers and operations in the state. Last year, we had 2,517 total business interactions. I'm not going to read you the rest of the stuff on that slide. I do want to point out a couple of other things. We did 29 workshops at the Alliance Center with 580 attendees, which is pretty cool. And we had 71 businesses use the space with 1,488 attendees. That was just in 2025. So the center is being utilized. If anybody listening or on council has any small businesses, whether they're home-based or have a location in the city and they're looking for any resources, there's a pretty good chance we'd be able to help them out. So please send them our way. A couple of other slides here. Business ribbon cuttings. Not going to run through all these. There's a lot of redundancy here from some of the stuff we've already talked about. But I do want to say a couple things. One, I want to thank City Council. You guys are amazing at showing up to these things, and we know some of them were very last minute. We appreciate you doing that. We apologize for some of the last minute nature of some of these. I want to make sure to give a shout out to the Thornton Area Chamber of Commerce, who is a partner of ours in putting all of these together. And there's a lot of logistics and a lot of behind the scenes work that goes into each and every one of these. And so they're a great partner of ours and the cities to help make those happen. I also want to mention real quick that for businesses, these are really big moments for them, as you can imagine, and they're really excited to be able to show off their business. I know all of you have been to these, so you know how that is, and having you guys attend when you can makes such a huge difference. So again, thank you for being there. And then this is my last slide, and then I'll take any questions you've got. We do 5 events out of our office every year. 2 of those are with partners. One, we do a co-event with the Thornton Area Chamber of Commerce. We do another one with the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. And then we have 2 business networking events and then our business appreciation awards, which you can see we had 300 guests at that one. I did just want to touch base on, we had over 2,000 business professionals participate in 32 networking or ribbon cutting events in 2025, which is the most that we've ever had attend our events. So they do seem to be growing, and we're really appreciative of both council's participation and our business community coming out for those. I'm going to stop and answer any questions that you guys have.
Mayor Pro Tem Ayala.
Thank you for the presentation. I have a couple of questions. The first one is the meaty factory.
Yes.
When it was built, was it pretty proprietary, or will there be able to be other, manufacturing companies that can maybe go into that building?
Yeah. It was built along with the rest of that park for multiple types of uses. Obviously, there's a lot of equipment and machinery in there now. So media is no more. They have left that facility. for those who don't know. But we actually have been working with the owner on potential new tenants. So to answer your question, maybe in a quicker way, no, there should be opportunities. We're hoping to get some more opportunities. Certainly there's some customized space in there, but we have seen good activity on all of those buildings up there. So we're hopeful that we can get a new tenant in there pretty soon.
Awesome, cool. And my second question is, the big news is around Aldi coming to Colorado. And so like, I've already had people hitting me up being like, can you put in a word about Aldi specifically for South Thornton? So I just wanted to see like if you all had a strategy or idea of how you might be able to get maybe some of those or one of those stores in Thornton.
Yeah, we actually have been working with Aldi and Aldi representatives and all of the kind of more local type grocery store, unique grocery store, boutique grocery store types for a number of years. And so we do have good contacts at those locations and continue to promote the city for those operations, Aldi and others like them. So we absolutely do reach out proactively at a time. I think actually Julie Jacoby in our office might have a restraining order against her at Trader Joe's for how many times she reaches out to try to get their attention. But we do have contacts at all those groups, and we continue to proactively promote sites in the city, all across the city.
All right, great. Thank you.
Councilmember Martinez.
Yeah, a few questions. First of all, Business Awards Appreciation Party. I mean, that was an incredible event. I'm so great that we got to show off chicken and pickle. Y'all worked really hard on getting that chicken pickle, and it's a great add to the city. About the awards, can you let everybody know how do you nominate a business? How does a business become a contender for those award categories?
Yeah, it's a great question. We actually do send out opportunity for businesses to be voted on for this for the different awards. So through social media and through our networks, we send out opportunities for businesses to vote for other businesses, or they can vote for themselves. Okay. And then all of that comes in. The only category that we don't do that for is the office or employment project of the year, just because most people aren't really aware of. They wouldn't have any idea really where to vote for that. It's not. They're pretty confidential projects when they come in, and they're not open to the public, so a lot of people aren't aware of them. But everything else we send out, people can vote on, and then we take that information, and that's what ultimately leads to the winners.
Okay, well then I'll look forward to that. The Target cold storage, is that operational now?
They are not fully operational yet, actually. They do have some small operation in that building that's up E470 in Washington, for those that aren't aware, but they are not fully operational yet. So you will start to see more activity there, I believe, by the end of the first quarter.
Okay,
they do have some people working there, but not nearly. Okay. As you can see, if you drive by, it doesn't have nearly the distribution side of things.
Right. Yeah, I've gotten questions about is that open yet? Because it's a big building and there's not a whole lot of cars in the parking lot.
No, there's very few people working there yet, but they will have. I believe memory serves about 300 employees there.
Okay, and then there was about a year ago, or a little bit. Yeah, it was about a year ago. There was a community meeting about a development project for a Hispanic grocery store / bar on around 91st and Huron. And I haven't heard anything since then. Is this still under an application? Do you know if they are still working with the city to try to make this happen? I know once it goes under application, it's quasi-judicial, but I'm just wondering if that is still in the works, because I haven't heard anything about that since that community meeting.
Great question. It is in the works. They have a boutique kind of Spanish grocery store, and then a restaurant component combined. I believe it's on the city website if you're interested in the kind of development project side. But it's also one of the 3 projects that I referenced. I just didn't name them that we're working with on undergrounding. So for them to do the restaurant, there needs to be some undergrounding of some of the Excel lines there. And so that is one of the 3 that we're working with on that. So that's been part of the delay, is trying to get all the necessary easements and things to build that site out right. So.
Thank you. That's very helpful. And then my last question is about the property on around 90th and Russell It's owned by the Thornton Development Authority. It fronts I-25, and about 2 years ago, right when I joined council, one of the first things we discussed was putting together an RFP for that property, which has since, didn't come to fruition. My question is the economic development team still soliciting interest for that property, or what's the status of that property? But I know it's owned by the city or the Thornton Development Authority. How are we marketing that, and is there an active plan to get that out there and interest among the developers and businesses?
That's a great question. So that is one of the properties, along with, we actually own, and as you probably are aware, the properties Thornton Parkway and Grant Street to the north of what is the Horizon Terrace office building as well. And so we are actually, one part of the strategic plan is to do a more of an all-encompassing vision and plan for that area, along with our other TDA owned properties. So that is being worked on through kind of the strategic plan piece, and was intentionally put in there through the groups, knowing that we want to have a better vision for what we want to see on that site, and along that corridor, and have it a little bit more well-intentioned and planned. So you'll be hearing more about that through the strategic plan process.
All right. Thank you, Adam. I appreciate all your help.
Of course.
Councilmember Algie?
Thank you, Adam. Great presentation as always, and thank you for bringing up the post office. I did email you this morning, and also emailed the council through CAR, just to ensure transparency, so that council's in the loop about what's going on with the post office situation. So thank you for that update. And also Thornton Area Chamber of Commerce, they're absolutely amazing partner as well. It's been great to see. And Jenny, you're doing a great job as well, obviously on the economic development team. So I continue to look forward to all the great things that are going to happen this year, and thank you again.
Councilmember Morris?
Yeah, and thanks for the presentation. Exciting to see all the stuff coming in, all the stuff your team's working on. I did have a couple questions. Councilmember Martinez hit the question, but I didn't hear the answer. So the Target warehouse at Washington and 154th, or up near 470, when is that planned to be fully operational?
I believe it's the end of the first quarter is what they've told us. There could be some flexibility. There's a lot of equipment and machinery in there, and so it's taken them, I think, a little bit longer to kind of get up and running. But I believe it's the end of the first quarter is their target date.
And something that was really interesting at the economic summit that we were at recently on the commercial real estate activity, there was a lot of there were 10 sites that were talked about that were sales that were $10 million or more. So pretty big land acquisitions. Majority of them were west and south of the Denver metro area. And there was one on the north side, one like kind of northwest in Louisville area for a bigger development. I'm just curious, leading indicators, things that you're seeing activity wise with developers that are like, what's it looking like? What are you hearing? What are you seeing from site selection interest in our area? Just general interest from developers, anything like that you're seeing?
Yeah, I mean, we are definitely seeing interest from the development side. We saw probably a small slowdown. Well, we saw a small slowdown for sure before we had the water secured. Once we got that secured, we've seen a lot of activity since then. We've also seen, it was a little bit of a slowdown last year with some uncertainty in the economy, but our activity has been strong kind of across the board, not just in the projects that we talked about, but in other, as we're a growing city, right? We are growing, and we have an opportunity for new land development. And so we are certainly seeing strong activity on the development side, kind of in every category, from the employment to the retail. And then the biggest challenge we have, or one of them, is we have a 4% vacancy rate for retail in the city, and we don't have a lot of places to put small businesses. And so we're trying to find, working with developers to try to get more of that smaller spaces to put businesses, because most businesses don't want to build a brand new building. It's expensive, and that's not their experience level. So trying to get, working with developers to get some of that space to put businesses is one thing we've been working on as well.
Awesome. Thanks, Adam.
Does that answer your question?
Yep. Yeah, it's just what we're looking for here is just kind of general pulse of the activity that's happening, because I know economically, employers, there's kind of hesitation in some capacity, or has been, based on uncertainty around policy or just hiring, whatever it is. And so it's good to get a feel for like what kind of interest we're seeing, and because that tells us, are we going to expect less activity in the future, right? Is it going to be this kind of head towards a recession type of attitude and employers are kind of holding off, or is it people feel more confident going into 2026? And so that means that there's more opportunity for this kind of positive activity that could help with economic development in our city.
Yeah, it's a great question. And I think, I can talk about this probably all day. But the one thing that I would say is when we do see slowdowns, they don't really impact us. We don't really see them right then. The projects that we're working on are usually far enough along, or are in a lot of ways are far enough along. What we see is the ones that we're just starting to work with maybe delay. And so those impacts, when things slow down, you do see kind of 9 months, 12 months later. We are seeing good activity though. So I'm excited about what we're going to see in 2026.
Awesome. Thank you.
Councilmember Byrd.
Councilmember Morris kind of touched on this as well. Last year we saw a decrease in overall sales tax revenue that kind of came through. How are we preparing as far as economic development to kind of counteract that and kind of help try to get more businesses in order to build that back up so we don't end up kind of lowering in on our budget side? Are we looking at any larger retailers similar to like what we're doing with the Target situation to kind of build out in some of these other vacant areas to kind of expand that out more, to kind of push that more? Or is it more of we're kind of waiting for more of the development teams to come to us and say, hey, this is what we're interested in? Like, what is our proactive approach to looking for those?
So what we generally target are, it's different for kind of employment versus retail, but I would say that we are looking for, some of the more unique and interactive, some of the retail that actually we had on that slide, some of those things when there are downturns still perform very well. And then unique amenities that align with the city, but the sales tax comes from that. And so those are big components. I think the other pieces that we look at on the employment side are, one of the benefits of these corporate office operations with the manufacturing is there's equipment there that obviously helps pay the bills too. And so we work very closely with our finance team and our city development team and our economic development group and then city manager's office to talk about what projects we're seeing and help plan longer term for, we might see a project and it might be 2 years before those guys actually open up. And so we try to work with our finance department. Maybe this touches on your question, Councilmember Byrd, is ahead of time so that we can plan as a city for when we think these are going to open and when that sales tax or property tax or use tax will start. So that's really how we do. We work very closely with our finance team to talk about what's coming. And so there shouldn't be a ton of major surprises. Now, some projects do get delayed. And when that happens, obviously we have to adjust, but we try to communicate as much as we can. And we usually know months in advance before a project does get delayed. So we can help plan for that. Does that answer some of your question?
I'd like to interject really quickly. I do think we can follow up with new members of the council, incentives that came in front of the council last year in terms of new investments that would generate significant sales tax. So we did have some significant incentives that were awarded to projects. There is a little bit of tension that I think Adam would share in terms of trying to identify local businesses, more character, unique destinations, but also recognizing that some of those larger retail establishments do create significant revenue generation for the city. So I think we can follow up in a more concrete way of what some of those near-term investments the city has made from an economic development perspective that we believe will generate future sales tax.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
Any additional questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, item 13 is the consent calendar. Is there any member of council who would like to remove an item from the consent calendar? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the consent calendar as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Approval of the consent calendar as presented has been moved and seconded. Clerk, please read the appropriate title into the record and poll the council.
An ordinance amending Section 2-56 of the Thornton City Code to provide for adjustment of the Emergency Telephone Authority fee in accordance with limitations set by the Colorado Public Utilities Commission. Council, please cast your votes. Motion passed unanimously, Your Honor.
Thank you. Item 14 is action items. Item 14A is a resolution approving the 2026 state legislative agenda for the city of Thornton. And I'll turn this over to Rob Kolstad, Deputy City Manager, to present this item.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Before you tonight is the 2026 state legislative agenda. Just as for purposes of background, historically, City Council has adopted a legislative agenda each year before the session starts, which actually starts tomorrow. This legislative agenda provides guidance on major legislative priorities. It provides guidance to the city staff, to the lobbyists on bills of interest and things that we should bring forward to council for discussion. The advocacy is primarily done by our city lobbyists as well as City Council, and we've listed on the left-hand side of the screen a preview of some of the issues that we anticipate hearing through this session, among others. And Council has seen a significant update on this actually just today. As far as the 2026 legislative agenda, the priorities are listed on the right-hand side of the slide: local control and funding, transportation, public safety, water security, housing, sustainability, and older adults. I will note that older adults is a new priority that was added at Council's direction this year. Really focuses on advocating for the health and welfare of our older adult residents around the areas of housing, transportation, safety, generally in alignment with the DRCOG Area Agency on Aging platform. So you've spent quite a bit of time talking about these priorities, but wanted to provide that brief overview. We would recommend adoption of the resolution and be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? All right, hearing none. Councilmember Algie, would you please introduce item 14A?
Oh, gosh.
Let me pull it for you.
Oh, okay, thank you. Okay. All right. Thank you, Madam Mayor. A resolution approving the 2026 state legislative agenda for the city of Thornton, and I move for its approval.
Second.
Thank you. The motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Councilmember Algie, you have the option to go first as you made the motion.
Rob, thank you again for the presentation, as always. Looking forward to the legislative dinner next Thursday. And then, of course, tomorrow is opening day of the state legislature, so I'll be down there tomorrow and for State of the State on Thursday. Looking forward to working with the city to get things done for us. Thank you.
Any other discussion? All right, I'll say thank you as well. Please poll the council.
Council, please cast your votes. Motion passed unanimously, Your Honor.
Thank you. Item 14B is a resolution approving an intergovernmental agreement between the city and Front Range Community College's North Metro Small Business Development Center for small business services at the Alliance Business Assistance Center. And I'll turn this over to Jenny Leon, our small business manager, to present this item.
Thank you, Mayor. Hello, everyone. Like she just mentioned, I am here to update you on our request to renew the intergovernmental agreement between the Alliance Center and the North Metro Denver Small Business Development Center, aka the SBDC. So since 1987, the Colorado SBDC has been offering low-cost and no-cost services to businesses, including counseling and education. The Alliance Business Assistance Center was established in 2020 with the goal of utilizing partnerships to help small businesses start, grow, and thrive. We entered into the original IGA in 2020, and it just expired in December. The SBDC, through our agreement with them, provides 8 hours per week of on-site business counseling, 1 workshop per quarter, attendance at our monthly partner meetings, and 1 scholarship annually to the Leading Edge program. And Leading Edge is a 9-week program where businesses come out with a very in-depth business plan, and they have a mentor that they work with, and then they make a lot of different connections with area organizations and partners such as the Alliance Center. So our partnership is very successful, and it's evident in stories such as the Tree of Life Childcare in Thornton. The Tree of Life had a support staff member. She was their front desk woman who decided to take it upon herself to start coming to the Alliance Center and meeting with Diego, learning about how to utilize the social media better and how to ramp up views and stuff of their website. So she reports that the traffic increased fivefold. They're now fully booked and hoping to expand within Thornton. So that is her down there, Maria Cooper. The owner is the lady in pink up at the top, and then Diego is in the bottom right corner. He is our counselor who is at the Alliance Center every week. So it's our recommendation that council approves the IGA between the Small Business Development Center and the city to continue the successful partnership moving forward. Any questions?
Any questions from council? All right, hearing none. Councilmember Russell, would you please introduce item 14B?
Yes, I'd like to introduce a resolution approving an intergovernmental agreement between the city and the Front Range Community College's North Metro Small Business Development Center for small business services at the Alliance Business Assistance Center, and I ask for its approval.
Second.
Thank you. Approval of the resolution has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Councilmember Russell, you have the option to go first as you made the motion.
Just much appreciated in what you guys are doing. I really appreciate the testimonial on there. So it always just gives a great example for the public and for council as a whole to see the success stories and through those partnerships. So keep up the good work and thank you.
Any other discussion? I'll add thank you as well. Please poll the council.
Council, please cast your votes. Motion passed unanimously, Your Honor.
Thank you. Item 15 is adjournment. And with no further business, the meeting is now adjourned at 8:42 p.m. Thank you all very much.